Afternoon, students. So in this session, in the video, we are going to see the servlet demo, where it's a simple servlet where it is going to add two numbers. So if I able to give some number here about 10 and here it is 20, the answer should be printed as a sum is 30. So that we are going to focus on creating a form which is having a label, two text box and one submit button. So whenever I click this value in the text box 1 and text box 2 and click the submit, we have to write the code to design this page in a HTML. So we need one HTML program to design this front end, and the background action where it should be given added these two numbers and output will be resulted as the text in the next screen. We need to write the servlet. So now we are going to call the servlet. On clicking the submit, the servlet should be called, which should be, that is based, it is on the server side, and the servlet will execute the logic whatever we have written, and the output should be returned by the servlet. So this is the main flow of working here. So we'll be discussing on how to implement this input and output here. Okay, let's start with that. So for that I need this Eclipse software. So if you don't have one, we have to download it. Okay, so I close all the tabs. Okay, I get it now. And let this around be here. Next we are going to start the new project. So we'll be having this new, in this new we'll be having dynamic web project. Since we are going to create the dynamic web project, we have this, and next we'll set the project name. So since it is a simple, I'll write the simple servlet program. Okay, simple servlet. So anything name you can give. So the name I'm giving is simple servlet, and next we'll check whether the source path is under Java. So whatever resources we are going to see as all the Java file, all the server side programming, Java side, Java means the Java class files, everything should be put under this main folder. Next is the name, root, everything is okay. So I'll finish it. So here if I see, I can see the one folder under my project name, simple servlet is done. So this we call it as the working space for our project, simple servlet. Now we have many of the subfolders here where we'll be having the deployment descriptor, how to deploy the servlet program, what we have done, and what are the services if we have web services we can input in here. And the Java resource will be having all your Java files. Our servlet will reside here. So this can act as some containers, as I told in the theory session. So it is containing the container for servlet. So all our servlet will be placed inside this source main Java, and this library folder will help us to hold all the jar files which we need support for executing our program. So in this example, as I told, we need to have one jar file that is for the library, that is package for the servlet creation. So that the name I has already given. Now we'll see how to download and put it under this jar file. So whatever libraries, for example, if I want to connect to the database, we need the which database we are going to work it out. For example, if you are using MySQL, I have to put the MySQL jar file here. If I'm going to connect it with the Oracle jar file. So whatever jar files, that is the additional external plugins you need for your project, you can download the jar file and place it under this folder. Okay, and this is a build, what are the class files and what are the source, everything will be under the source. We'll be having the web interfaces. So what are the web interfaces? All our HTML file, JSP file, there's a front-end design files will be available here. Okay, so this is about your project explorer, and now we are going to create our requirement as I stated here. So this is the layout I'm going to create. So what I will do is I already created the form, so just I copy the code. Now in this project, simple servlet is our project, right? I close everything so that it will get okay. So this is a layout. So right click on this simple servlet and go to new, and under this new we will be having a HTML file. So you can open this HTML file. I will give the name to be index.html. So anything you can give, it can be home.html, whatever. So I'll just give finish. Now our template is created. So now I'm going to paste my code whatever I have. So you can add all your inputs, right? So you can add all your styling information, everything here. And this I have created a form. So whenever we are going to have the dynamic web page, a form must be there, because form is the only group of tags where we are going to accept the user input. For that we need form, and what are the method, what method, using with method I'm going to communicate to my backend. That is my, here I'm using the post method. And what is the action to be taken, that is we have to specify the URI, that is a resource identifier. URI is nothing but uniform resource identifier. We are going to give the name of the servlet which should be invoked when the submit button is to be clicked here. So it is a uniform resource identifier in the container of the server, right? So I have given here as a register. So I need to create a servlet for this, and I should map this register with the servlet what I created. We'll see step by step. Next is, as usual, we created an input type text, two text box I created. I named them as T1 and P1. Then I have a form submit button. Okay. So this is a simple layout. So what I'll do is, if I run this program, so right click, you'll be having run. Just click run on server. And if you're not saving, you ask for save. And next thing is, you should select the server here. So my server is Tomcat 9. Finish it. So the server is already running, so it is asking for. Now my server is starting. So you can see this at the bottom of the console. It is started and synchronized, and yeah, I'm getting 2 inputs. So what I'll do is, I put the 10 and I put the 20. Now if I submit, what should happen? It should give me the result. But now what is giving? It is giving the error message, because the requested resource register is not available, meaning it cannot find the resource what you requested here, right? So this request register is your resource what you requested, but it cannot find. Why? Because we not yet created. So our next step is to create that resource. Now we'll see how to create the servlet and how to map the servlet what we created with this URI register. For that, we just right click on this. So we'll write Java. So we'll be having class file here. Simply we can use this, or we can have that. Yes, we have servlet itself. So we can create servlet also. 1 second. No. So first we need to create, if you need this, put in a common folder, we can create a new package. So I put the name as the package. My package name is com.servlet. Okay. Next, inside this package, I am going to create the file. So the file what I am going to create is my Java file. I can't see the just will check in others. So we'll be having So just try with this servlet or the com.servlet. The class name I need is, I'll just create what name we can give is calculate servlet. Okay, so this is my file name. So I just click next. Then now I don't want all this. I put constructors from support. So this is I put finish. So now for the time being I delete everything. Okay. Because we are starting, so we delete all the package. So this package com.servlet is, we have this this folder. So we have created this com.servlet. So it is whatever I'm typing here will be under the com.servlet. Now we need to have the create the servlet. So I'll write how to create the Java file is public class. My class name is, what is the file name I created? Calculate servlet.java. Sorry, calculate servlet, and this class extends HTTP servlet. So all the servlet what you are implementing, they should extend this HTTP servlet, which throws, let's write this HTTP servlet. Then we need two methods. One is doGet. It has two arguments. doGet has two arguments. First argument is HTTP servlet request REQ, comma HTTP servlet response some variable name, and this method should throws to exception, and they should handle, they will surely throw. For that we need to have this IO exception and servlet exception. Exception is a error handling technique, which in runtime, if any error happens, it will be handled. So the same form signature I copy for the post also. So this method will be post. Do post. So if you are the beginner, you just start typing with this and work it out, because in the Eclipse environment it is default, it will give all the skeleton, but you should know what are the arguments, what are the exceptions the function throws, and over everything. Then it is easier to understand. Now you see, if the here and the red color thing is there, the meaning is we need to import some libraries, but I cannot find the libraries here also. For that we need the jar file, as I told, because we are working with this HTTP. So if I go and type import, I need the base classes import java x.servlet. If you see, I cannot see that servlet. So I cannot see servlet here, right? So I need that servlet package. For that we will be adding this we'll be adding the jar file in the library. So I right click, or I have stored the jar file here. The jar file name is Jakarta Servlet API. So what are the packages we need? It is under this. Now I copy this and I paste the content inside my library. So you can see it comes and sit here, right? Now if I check it, see it is coming, import HTTP servlet java x servlet.http. So if I click on this, it is already imported. So I delete this what I typed. So once you include the jar file Jakarta Servlet API here, then only it can, and it can use this class H. So I can see import HTTP. So imported, and this one also I need, so add it, and IO exception class also I need, so imported, and this servlet also I need. Okay, so now everything is fine here. So I have imported what are the necessary package classes I need, then I created the 2 methods. So now I'll need to get the input, receive the input from the text boxes what I entered in the web page, and this should be processed sum together and output to be returned back to that. So either I can use do get or do post. So initially we'll be writing in the do get, or you can do post also. So suppose I start with the do get. Now what happens here is I'm going to bring the input. So first thing is we will be having some variables to get the input from the text box. So what I do is I will type int some number 1 equal to where the input will be is through this particular variable I can access all the input. So I will write request dot get parameter. Request dot get parameter. So what parameter I need is I should know the name of that variable. So name is what, t1. So my text box name is what, t1, and the text box name is p1. So I will write t1 semicolon. Now what is telling, it cannot mismatch, because whatever the coming in our request is in our string format. Now I'm asking it to store in the integer. So in that case, if you want to work it over in the string format itself, no issue, you can use string and get it, no issue. Suppose I put this integer to string, the rest will go, because I am receiving in the string format and storing the result back in a string format. But in our case, I am going to perform some calculation, so I need in the integer only. For that, what we should do is whatever input I am getting from the t1, it should be converted into integer. Type casting I should perform. For casting that, we should have the function called integer dot pass int. Request dot get parameter, then I close it. So now what happened, this request dot get parameter of t1 I'm getting. So whatever type in the t1 will be returned as the string to this do get. After that, the pass int will convert the string into the integer and store the result back to the n1. So now same code I copy and I paste it for my second variable t2. So my variable name is n2 here and my text box name is p. Now what happened, I have done the input. Whatever type I typed in that particular form, I can copy in the variable in the servlet side. Now I going to create one more variable sum. I'm going to add n1 plus n2. Got it? So now I have the result ready. Now what's the first step I have done? Retrieve the input from that front end and I have performed some logic. Now I'm going to hold it, return the result back. For return the result back, we need the stream classes. So we have to have one stream classes. The name of the stream classes is print writer. Print writer is a class in Java. So I'm creating a new print writer. Response dot get writer. So this class is used to get the response. So whatever response we are creating one writer for our response object. Request we are getting what are the input. Now I'm going to write back to the client machine. So we need a writer object method. So this print writer is showing yellow because it should be import the package. So I imported java.io.printWriter. So now error goes now. So now I got the response.getWriter and I'm setting response.set content. What type of content it is going to give. So content type is, I'm going to send a normal HTML. So I put text/HTML. Yes. So now I have one object for writing back my output. So I use this pw.print method. I call from the pw object, I call the print method what to print. I'm going to print what the sum is, right? So I will give a paragraph tag. I'll use a paragraph. If I want to set the color style equal to, I give something background background color yellow. Okay, so I set the style for my background, and then giving that content. What is that? Yellow. The sum is. With this I stop my string. Oh, sorry, I should not close it. Okay, now I need the value to be printed. Where is my value? It is in the sum. So I print sum here. But then I need to close it. Close the paragraph tab. That's it. So we have retrieved the input from the front end. We have processed something. So this is the processing statement, business logic, and this is the output what I'm going to return back. Now this is a simple program, so we are having only 2 lines of statement to get the input, and the logic is simple here. So I used instead a single function itself. If you are going to work it on some complex function, we need to write to retrieve the input output, we need a separate Wing class, and for logic we can have multiple functions. I can create a separate Java file also. I can create the object alone and use it. So anything we can do. Since it is a simple thing, we are used in a single function itself. But larger project will not be implemented in this way. They will be having a separate thing for everyone. Okay, so now we'll see, we'll run and see how it is working. Okay, so I click on my thing. I am making to run on the server. I select my server, then finish. Here I am giving the same number 10, and I am giving the number 20, and if I submit, again it is showing it is not available. So what is the reason here is I have created a index page, I have created a servlet, it is also not having any error, right? Next step is I need to have the mapping. If this, because my servlet name is calculate servlet, but in my index.html my URI name is register. So I need to connect this calculate servlet with this register. So that is called URL mapping, mapping of the servlet with the URI. For that we need to have one file, that is our web.xml. It is a library mapping file, mapping the servlet with the URI. For that we need to have new, and I can have XML file. So I can have type the XML I created here. So I give the name as web.xml. So all projects should have, so in our case simple servlet, it is, you should have one XML. Similarly, how many projects I create, each one should have their own XML. So I'm creating the w.xml. So some sample format I have given, I have here. So I'll explain what is this. So this you have the XML API web app. Web app is a root folder for this. So XML is the root. Since it is XML file, you should include this line. After this, we should have web app. Inside this web app is a main root element for this web.xml, web app, and this is the default schema instance, everything we should do. And next is display name. If whatever name you want to display, you can give it. And welcome file. Welcome file is a list of file. So whatever we are having multiple files here, right? If JSP file, 2 or more, because if I take website, you can have collection of web pages. So if I consider I have 5 HTML file here. In this 5 HTML5, which one is the main index initial screen, home screen? That file name I should give here. So since I'm using only one HTML, the index.html is my welcome file. So I can have multiple files on loading which should be loaded as a home screen. So that is a welcome file. So that can be put inside the welcome file list. Okay. And next, second thing is you should have servlet. So servlet is, what is the servlet name? Any name I want to give, anything, just a name. I can give any name here. So I can use, for example, I use the same simple servlet. It's just a name I'm giving, it doesn't create any impact here. Okay. not correctly spelled. Okay. Next is, this is the main thing, this servlet class. So this is the main thing which we need com.servlet, because inside the com.servlet only I'm going to have my calculate servlet. So this I make it as, I should give the name properly. So under this com.servlet folder, I am going to have my new servlet what I created. So the servlet name is calculate. So make sure the file name calculate servlet is same to your this name Java file, right? So this name should be given here, com.servlet.calculate servlet. So it is a camel case I used. Okay. Next, so first one is a welcome file, second one is a servlet. Inside the servlet tag we have two subtags, servlet name, any name you can give to the servlet, and the servlet class file. So this should be correct. If this is not matching, then the servlet will not be mapped to your URI what you mentioned in the form. Now again mapping is, this is the main thing, mapping I'm doing. So my servlet name, what name I gave, it should be a simple servlet. So I copy this. So for this servlet I'm giving the URI. So according to me it is, I think let it be not registered. I put compute. Okay, so compute is my URI name. So what I do is, here I'm mapping, right? So I give the URL pattern as not login compute. So this name should match the name here. So this is a URI mapping. So both are correct. And for this, it identifies the server. So whenever I call this compute in any form, if I call this compute in the HTML file, this will come and check on the web.xml, and it will check the corresponding class file. So you should match this. So through this simple servlet, I match what is the class file, and if it is not properly mapped, then the server cannot identify the respective servlet in the container to be called for the URI mentioned in the HTML page. So this should be taken care. So I have done. So I close it. So now we have a web.xml. Now we have the index page. Then we have, so we have created the front end, we have created the back end, then we have mapped the back end with the URI of the front end. Now next we'll just run it and see whether it is working. I never saved, so I will save it, run on the server, finish it. So you can see it is running at the background. Next I will just type and see. So it is detecting, but there is still some errors there. We'll go and check with our servlet. Okay, the mistake what we have done is, we have written the code in the do get, but we are calling it on the do post, right? So either I can make it as get. Suppose I take it as a get and then see whether it is running. See, we got the answer. The sum is 30. So if the method and everything is properly matching only, it will be invoked. So this is how a simple servlet will be running here. Suppose I want to be called in the post method, what I should do? So again make it as a post method, and whatever code you have written, just you can, whenever post or something is called, you can forward the request to do get. Request response. That's it, and we'll see whether it is working now. So what I'm doing, I am getting the request through the do post method only. In the do post, I'm getting the do get. So either you can copy the code and paste it here or set everything, but it should have properly called. So I'm just running. Yeah, now I'm going to put the values. Submit. Yeah, I'm getting the same answer. So this is how we are going to implement the simple servlet. So you can see that in this program I have used only one front end and one servlet program, and here there is no database connectivities here. So the using this step you follow to complete the first question what I given in the lab experiment. Okay, thank you students.